Have you ever met someone who seemed good? They smiled, they helped, they said all the right things, but something felt off. Like behind all that goodness, something was rotting. Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster." What if the real evil in the world isn't loud or violent? I want to tell you about someone I once knew. Let's call him James. James was the kind of person everyone liked: polite, kind, always offering to help. But when things didn't go his way, he'd twist the story, subtly turn people against each other, act like the victim while secretly pulling strings behind the scenes. No shouting, no fists, just slow, quiet damage. By the time people noticed, the friendships were gone, the trust was broken, and James still smiling. That's when I started to realize, maybe evil doesn't always wear black. Maybe sometimes it wears a soft voice and clean hands. When we think of evil, we think of obvious things: serial killers, dictators, war criminals. But Nietzsche didn't see it that way. He believed true evil could look ordinary, respectable, even moral. That's what makes it so dangerous, because here's the twist. Some of the worst people believe they're doing good, and Nietzsche didn't just say this to shock people. He thought most of us had it backward. We label people evil based on what they do, but we never ask, why are they doing it? Let me explain. You know those people who are always telling others how to live, always acting like they're the moral police. Nietzsche said those people might not be good at all. In fact, he believed many of them were driven by bitterness, resentment, a need to control what they hate in themselves by punishing it in others. It's like they're not helping you because they care. They're helping you to feel powerful. Nietzsche had a word for this. He called it resentment. It's not just resentment, it's a deep hidden grudge, a kind of emotional poison that builds up in people who feel powerless. Instead of facing their pain or failures, they flip the script. They say, "I'm good because I'm weak. I'm good because I suffer. And you, with your strength or success, you must be evil." Here's the quote that explains it all. Nietzsche writes, "The good man has always been the man of the herd. The evil man is regarded as the individual, the one who is different, dangerous, and therefore to be feared." Think about that. Evil, in this twisted view, is just not fitting in, not being what others expect, not following the crowd. Let's go back to James. He didn't attack people who were obviously bad. He attacked the people who were bold, confident, independent. He'd never say it out loud, of course, but if you were different, if you had something he didn't, he'd find a way to make you look like the problem. And that's what Nietzsche meant. Evil isn't always about destruction. Sometimes it's about control, guilt, shame, the kind of evil that uses morality like a weapon. That's why Nietzsche didn't trust people who acted too moral. He thought it was often a mask for something darker. He said, "Beware lest, in your anxiety to avoid evil, you become evil yourself." Let that sink in. If someone is obsessed with punishing others for being bad, you have to wonder, what are they hiding? What are they afraid of becoming? Here's how you spot it in real life. They make you feel small when you succeed. They twist kindness into obligation. They never forget a wrong, but always forget a favor. They talk about helping, but only when they're the hero. People like this don't want connection. They want control. They don't lift others up. They pull them down to feel taller. That's not goodness. That's evil in disguise. Does this remind you of someone who made you feel guilty for setting boundaries? Someone who acted like your wins were threats? Yeah, that's resentment. That's what Nietzsche warned us about. So here's the line to remember. If someone needs you to be weak so they can feel good, that's not goodness. That's evil playing dress up, Nietzsche wrote. In individuals, insanity is rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule. He's not just talking about mobs or cults. He's talking about all of us when we stop thinking for ourselves and start thinking as a crowd. This is where evil multiplies. When people gather, something strange happens. Everyone wants to belong. Everyone wants to be seen as good, but nobody wants to be the one who says, wait, this isn't right. So what happens? Someone gets targeted, canceled, shamed. Not because they did real harm, but because calling them evil makes the rest of us feel better about ourselves. And that's the kind of evil Nietzsche warned about. It's not just what people do, it's how they hide behind the group to do it. Be honest. Have you ever stayed silent in a group when you knew someone was being treated unfairly? Have you ever joined in just a little because you didn't want to be the odd one out? It's okay if the answer is yes. That's the point. Nietzsche believed it's easy to go along with evil when it's dressed up as normal, because when a whole group agrees on a lie, it starts to feel like truth. Here's a real-life example: online outrage. One tweet, one headline, and suddenly someone's whole life is up for judgment. Most people don't even check the facts. They just pile on. Why? Because it feels good. To punish because it feels safe to blend in with the mob. But that's not justice. That's cowardice in a costume. Nietzsche believed most people aren't driven by morality. They're driven by fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of being different. Fear of being called out. That's how evil works through groups. It spreads not through monsters, but through ordinary people too afraid to say no. And here's the uncomfortable part. Sometimes the group that looks good is the one doing the most damage. If someone's goodness depends on having a crowd behind them, it's probably not real goodness. It's just a mask they wear to feel safe. Nietzsche once said, "He who despises himself still respects himself as one who despises." Let's break that down. It sounds weird, but what he's saying is this: even when people hate themselves, they find power in that hatred. It becomes a kind of identity, and that identity, if left unchecked, can become dangerous. Think about it. If someone believes deep down they're worthless, they only have two choices. It's either they change and grow or double down, cling to their pain, make others hurt too. This is where the truly dangerous kind of evil is born. Not from power, but from self-loathing. It's the person who feels weak and decides to make the world feel weaker. Ever met someone who always tears others down, who mocks confidence, who calls kindness fake ambition, selfish, or joy naive? That's not honesty, that's projection. That's someone who's drowning and would rather pull you under than admit they need help. You might be wondering, what does any of this have to do with evil? Here's what Nietzsche would say: evil isn't just about what people do to others. It's also about what they refuse to face in themselves. The people who harm others the most aren't always cruel for fun. Sometimes they're cruel because it's the only thing that makes them feel real, and that makes them dangerous. Not because they're strong, but because they've turned their pain into a weapon. Here's a short story to bring it home. I knew a woman, let's call her Tessa, who always found a way to ruin good things, new friendships. She'd poison them with gossip, team projects. She'd start drama just before the deadline. She wasn't evil in the cartoon sense. She didn't scream or steal or threaten, but she carried a quiet bitterness like the world owed her something. In every small act of sabotage, it was her way of saying, "See, nobody's really good. Everything breaks just like me." That's the kind of evil Nietzsche wrote about. Not the dramatic kind, but the slow, tired, hopeless kind. The kind that lives in people who've stopped believing in change and want everyone else to stop too. Let's get real for a moment. Ignoring these truths about evil isn't just an abstract problem. It costs us deeply. Think about families torn apart by silent cruelty, friendships shattered by small lies that pile up workplaces, poisoned by hidden agendas. People lose more than time. They lose trust, peace, and sometimes themselves. Nietzsche knew this pain well. He wrote, "Invisible threads are the strongest ties." What he meant was the smallest unseen things: resentment, bitterness. Lies can break people apart more than any open fight. I once knew a man, let's call him David. David's workplace was a war zone of whispered insults and subtle sabotage. No one said a word, no one stood up. Over time, his confidence faded. He stopped speaking up, started doubting himself. He wasn't fired, no dramatic explosion, but day by day, the slow drip of cruelty crushed him. That's the real face of evil, not always loud or violent, but quiet, hidden in everyday moments, and it doesn't just hurt others, it steals who we are. Ignoring evil's subtle signs, that's how it grows, how it spreads, how it becomes normal. So what can you do? How do you protect yourself and those you care about? A quick recap of what we have learned so far. 1. Evil often hides behind smiles and good intentions. If someone needs you to be weak to feel strong, that's a warning sign. 2. Groupthink can mask cruelty. Just because many say something is right doesn't make it so. Question the crowd. 3. Unfaced. Self-hatred turns into harm. People who can't own their pain might lash out and pull others down. Here's one simple thing you can do today. Practice honest boundaries. Say no when something feels wrong, even if it's uncomfortable. Speak up for yourself, even if it means standing alone. Nietzsche said one must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. Chaos here means the courage to face uncomfortable truths about others and about yourself, because that courage, it's where real strength lives. It's the opposite of evil. What's one small chaos you faced that helped you see the truth about someone, or even about yourself? Share your story below. Let's talk about it in the next video. We'll dive into how to build strength from standing alone, even when it feels impossible. If you found this helpful, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay real.